Today I will show you how to set up your XIM in the most optimal way to play Valorant. I will go over the necessary requirements, the general configuration setup, and in the end, I will also cover some useful setup tricks that will give you a lot of advantages in the game. The configuration will work for all types of input devices. If you are on a controller, then I recommend to watch this video here in advance. It will show you the necessary adjustments you must do to follow the steps from today's video. Before I start, the firmware used in this video is the one that came out around a week ago. You are not required to use this firmware, but the new quantize feature that is used in this video is exclusive to this firmware. In this video, you can learn more about quantize and where to get the new firmware. This feature will make your aim in Valorant more consistent. It also helps to improve the aim assist and avoid a few aiming issues in the game. The configuration will of course also work without this feature, but for the best performance I recommend to update your firmware. But let's start with the necessary preparation steps. Go into your XIM configuration. At the bottom, you will have to activate the advanced mode. This is necessary to get access to all the options that we will use later. If you plan to use the copy and paste code, then this step is not required. But if you want to manually follow my setup, then please activate the advanced mode. After that, scroll up again and press the wrench button at the top. This will open the XIM forum and show you the required in-game settings. Only use the settings shown on this website, otherwise your XIM will not work as intended. Controller users can max out their stick sensitivities in the XIM configuration and then adjust their overall sensitivity through the in-game settings. Anything that isn't displayed here can be customized to your personal preference. Once you have adjusted your in-game settings, let's take care of the polling rate. For that, you need to open the connectivity settings. Scroll all the way to the bottom to find the polling rate option. I recommend to use 1000 Hz because that will give you the most responsive mouse movements. When you have adjusted your polling rate, exit this menu in the top left corner. Next, let's adjust the configuration. For the configuration color, I have chosen blue, and for the hotkey, the F1 key. That allows me to load my Valorant configuration by pressing the F1 key on my keyboard. As a confirmation, my XIM will then show a blue LED light. My preferred DPI value at the bottom is 10,800. This configuration will work with any DPI value, but the ideal range is 8,000 to 12,000. Matrix will provide better mouse movements when using a value in this range, so if possible, use a DPI value that is close to mine. Next, let's swipe one time to the right to enter the hip configuration. My preferred hip sensitivity is 17.50. If you are unsure what sensitivity you should use, then you can watch my sensitivity guide to find your most optimal mouse sensitivity. You can find a link to it in the video description. For the smoothing option, I recommend to either use light or synchronous. Light will make it easier to stay compliant with the game, whereas synchronous will provide a better experience for the aim assist. I will select synchronous for this guide. In the advanced settings, I am using the new quantize feature. I recommend to use a value of around 25. This will introduce a bit of an angle snapping, which ensures that swipes and flicks will stay on head level. The effect is low enough to not distort your regular aiming behavior. This setting is comparable to steady aim from the XIM Apex. Next, let's cover the ADS setup. My preferred ADS sensitivity is 81.50. Just like before, if you do not know what sensitivity works best for you, then just watch my sensitivity video. It will show you how to find your most optimal ADS sensitivity. After that, let's cover the button bindings. Here you can either copy the button bindings that you can see right now, or you go with your own ones. At the bottom, you will have to adjust your SAB values. You can find those by expanding the corresponding menu. A while ago, I had a video guide on how to dial in those values in the best possible way, but Ubisoft has decided to strike the video. For some reason, it is still available to channel members, but I think YouTube will fix that mistake very soon. So if you do not know how to dial in these SAB settings, then maybe check if the video is still available to channel members. Alternatively, look up the short SAB guide from the XIM forum. I have linked both in the video description. In the last few chapters, I will show you some very powerful setup tricks for Valorant. The first one will remove the sensitivity spike when using a sniper scope. If you have already used the AWP, then you know that there is a short but noticeable sensitivity spike when going into the scope. You will notice it a lot more when moving your aim to the side while going into the scope. The game developer has already reduced this spike by a lot, but it still exists to some extent and can ruin your flick shots. The first trick will remove this sensitivity spike by briefly reducing your sensitivity for the duration of the spike. For that, just follow my steps. I will create a dedicated group for this trick and also set up a button with which I can toggle this trick. Once the setup is complete and I plan to play an AWP, I just press the M key on my keyboard. This will then remove the sensitivity spike, and when I play around with a different weapon, I will press the M key another time to turn off this setup. The second trick will make you stop moving when you shoot your weapon. That way, you must not pay attention to your character movement. When you press your shooting button, this trick will make your character stand still and shoot at the perfect moment. By that I mean that your weapon will only shoot once your character is completely still and the crosshair accuracy is at its optimum. I will now show the setup steps. Just follow and pause the video if necessary. Among other things, I will have to create a modifier key. This is a key I must hold down in order to activate the trick. You can use any button for that, including a controller button. I will use the left shift key for that. Once the setup is complete, you can load your game and test it out. I will now walk to the right and hold down my modifier button. And once I aim on a target, I just hold down my shooting button. This will make my character stop moving and shoot the weapon once the accuracy is perfect. This is obviously not the most ideal setup, especially when playing against decent people. The reason is that it takes a lot of time before your weapon will start to shoot because you first have to stand completely still. Instead of this setup, I therefore recommend to use the third trick, which is a strafe shot setup. Here is an example clip of what it does. It allows you to move at full speed, and once you are on the target, you just shoot your weapon. The trick will then instantly change your movement direction to briefly provide you with a perfect accuracy. And you can then continue to shoot another time to once again switch your movement direction. That way you can counter strafe and always shoot with perfect accuracy. In my opinion, that is the strongest trick for Valorant. Since this is a complex setup, I will just link to the tutorial in which I explain this setup. Otherwise, this video would run for another 10 minutes now. You can find a link to it in the video description. The same goes for the last trick, which is a snap tap setup. You can find a link to this guide in the video description as well. Snap tap works very well in combination with analog movement. You will not get detected for using it as long as you don't use it to peek around every possible corner. As always, you can find the copy and paste code of this configuration in the video description.
So guys, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button or maybe even subscribe to this channel to not miss out on any of the upcoming videos. Also, contrary to popular belief, this channel is not an official XIM channel. I run this channel in my free time to bring you guys the latest XIM news and tricks. So if you want to support what I do, then maybe consider to join the YouTube channel membership. Channel members usually get around 1 to 4 weeks of early access to all new videos. Plus, we also have a nice little Discord to discuss XIM settings and other stuff. But that's about it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching and I will maybe see you in the next one.